Hello, welcome to our question of the week. Ask us. This week, we have a big question. They're all big questions, but I think this is a big question which we all ask. And the answer is, who am I? Who am I? The question was originally, who are you? But I think that brings us to a deeper question of what's our identity? You see, we live in a world, in a culture, in a season where there are lots of questions about personal identity. Who am I? You see, many of the pillars that we look to in the past, our family, our culture, our community that would define us and tell us who we are, the current spirit of the age is to question those definitions as being something that's imposed upon us, that's alien, and to some extent, that's actually a valid critique because our identity of who we are doesn't rest in who our family says we are, or who our culture says we are, or who our community says we are. But it also doesn't rest in who we say that we are. You see, the Bible has a very beautiful answer for us when we ask the question, who am I? And the answer starts in Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 and 27, where it says this: God said, let us make man in our own image. Of course, this means man and woman, after our own likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So the first thing that this tells us about who we are is we're actually little gods. What that means is we represent God here on earth. We have many of his attributes. They are what are the theological term is communicable attributes. And there's a whole list of those. I can include those, or I can tell you those if you contact me directly. But the meaning of who we are is that we get to take care of God's world. Our purpose is to carry forth the care and the nurture of God's world, which includes spreading the good news of Jesus Christ to all people. But of course, the ultimate example of what being a human being is, who are we, is to look at Jesus. Jesus was the perfect human and what all human beings should aspire to be. Now, that's a whole book in itself, and there's a whole section of theology called Christological anthropology to help describe us as humans in the image of God through looking at Jesus. But a point I want to go to quickly, a pastoral point, is it found in 1 Corinthians 4:3, and it's this: is that not only do we not define, or not only do we not let others define ourselves, but we don't even define ourselves, because we define ourselves often very negatively and very harshly. Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 4:3, but with me it is a very small thing that I should be judged by you, meaning the church in Corinth, or by any human court. I do not even judge myself. Because you see, we spend most of the time condemning ourselves, don't we? God could never love us. But the ultimate statement of what our worth is, what our value is, and who we are, is in the cross of Jesus. And in that, we know that we are beloved beyond all description. Though we're more sinful than we ever thought possible, Tim Keller says, we're more beloved than we ever dared hope. So, if you want to know who you are, remember, you're created in the image of God. You exist to carry out his purposes on this world, caring for his creation, which also includes proclaiming the good news of Jesus Christ to every ear who will hear. And who are you? Well, it can all be summed up in God the Father's words to Jesus at his baptism. As Jesus stood in baptism, taking on baptism for us, he spoke these words, not just to a Jesus, but all who are in Jesus, all who've put their faith and trust in him. And he says this, Matthew 3:17, this is my beloved child, with whom I am well pleased.